So welcome everyone. My name is Martin Piciniak. Today I will be joined by Emily Melling as well. We are going to present a collaborative workflow. So it's a very hard thing to show live, but hopefully it will all work out fine. I like to think of CC, Creative Cloud, as cool collaboration, because that's what it can be. We are going to work on a real life project, and we will even have some client feedback live. So it's a lot of things that can go wrong. Hopefully it will work out fine. So you can use the Creative Cloud services to work with people in the same room, or to work together with people from all around the world. And in an ideal world, that looks like this. Nice people working together from different countries joining in. And of course, sometimes collaboration can look like this as well. That's obviously not what we want to present today. But I had a session already today where I showed how the mobile apps in Creative Cloud can be used to start off your project and then move into using your desktop computer to refine them. And I showed a few examples of this workflow. We are actually going to take one of those examples. Is there anyone who was on my first session today? Yeah, some of you, perfect. So you probably remember the example we did there for using Adobe Comp, which I have here on my iPad. This was something that I prepared in the morning, putting it together quickly on the iPad, which you can see also synced on my screen. And this is something that I already took into InDesign, and I have it prepared here. So this is going to be part of this project we are going to work on. So it's a little bit of a tie-in from the first session that I did. But in this session, what we will be focusing on is the next step in the creative workflow. And that is the rest of the workflow, which you can see up here. So there's 5 stages normally that I divide a project in. The first one is the preparation, where you need to decide what resources you are going to work with, and then collecting everything together, then the creation, refinement, and then the publishing. Now, I will show glimpses of each of these stages in the work. And the preparation part is what we are doing right now. So we just decided to work on this project together. So Emily and me joined together, joining forces to work on this project. And the first thing where you should start a project, especially when you collaborate, is to create a Creative Cloud library. Now, I can't stress this enough, because that is a very it's a feature that not many people use, or even if they use, they don't really see the power in working with Creative Cloud libraries. So that's the first thing that I will try to demonstrate here to you, and then the advantage of that. So let's say we sat down with Emily, and then we decided that we need to work on and continue this project that we started off. So the product is a smart home device, and we have these cool characters representing the family. And this is like a leaflet that will be printed out about this product, but we will need to also create a website for this service, or for this product, and we will need to highlight the features of it. So what will happen is that I will start putting together the design for the website, first just creating a first version of it, a draft in Illustrator, but I will be working with Emily, who's going to prepare the icons for me. So she is the icon designer in this task. But to be able to make this work together, what we will need is the library to be working and to be shared. So you can see we have CC libraries in all of the Adobe applications. You will find them in the window menu under the panels. It's either called CC libraries or just libraries. Don't ask me why there's an inconsistency in that, but that's the same thing. It will come up here in the panels, and you will see that you can create multiple libraries, and I have so many of them. Like I have one which has all the Adobe icons, or most of them, like all the different products, because I have to do presentations on them a lot. I have one prepared for this. And the cool thing is that I can easily access them. They can be vector files, pixel files. You can even save character styles into your Creative Cloud libraries, and so much other thing. But what I'm going to show you is that this one, the Sweet Home project, you can see is already shared. So I can see the little icons there, meaning that it's a shared project. You can have multiple people collaborating with you. All you need to have is to make sure that all of them are, they are all on the Creative Cloud, so they have their own licenses. Obviously, you can't share the same license on more than two computers. And even then, if you work in a team, it's best to have individual licenses, unfortunately, for everyone. Otherwise, it can be a little bit messy because you would be overwriting your own files or each other's files. So what I'm going to show you here is that if I were to start a new one, this one is already set up to work with Emily, but I'm just going to show you if I create a new library, all I have to do is to give it a name. Let's say test, all right? And then if I want to invite anyone to this library, I click on the panel menu again, and all I have to say is to collaborate. So to start our cool collaboration, we click on that, and then it will come up with the browser where I can put in the Creative Cloud account email. That's all you need to know from your designer or creative friend who is going to join you. So you just have to put the email address in here. I think it can be other email addresses. As long as it gets to that person, they will be able to link their account with it. And then you can also decide whether you let them to edit your library or just to view it. If they can view it, that means they can use the elements you add in it in their own project, so they can drag and drop elements from it, but they can't override the library, so they can't add their own graphic elements or they can't delete elements from it. So they just have the option to use it, but they can't make changes to it. If I choose to allow them to edit it as well, that means they have the same options that I have. Apart from deleting the whole thing, only I can do that, the initiator. So now we have already that original one that I had here, which we already set up just to avoid any issues here in the live demonstration. So the Sweet Home project, I already linked to Emily's account. So let's see if she gives us an icon. So I already told Emily to prepare a light bulb icon for us because we need to talk about the electricity being a feature of this Sweet Home product. So I will need a few icons, and while I'm working on a design like this leaflet, maybe I already need to put that light bulb here to represent it. See, it showed up there. So Emily was really fast. Thank you very much. Man, that was great. Let's see how it looks. All I have to do is to drag and drop it in here, and I can place it in just as normal as any other image. And of course, I can then add things like a text wrap on this. Because it's a vector image, it's already going to recognize the borders of it, or I can use detect edges and so on and so forth. So this is already an element that we are using from the Creative Cloud. But now comes the interesting thing. So I added this in my design, and what I would like to do is to get another element. Let's just say a padlock. Let's ask Emily, can you do a padlock for us? Cool, all right. So because we need to talk about security as well. So it's saving energy, this product, and it's secure as well. That was really quick again, thank you. So there's a padlock. And conveniently, we just need to drag and drop it in here, and it's already part of our design. Now let's see if Emily is really good at making changes as well. This is actually, we haven't discussed, but let's see if you can do it. So what I would like to do is to change one of these icons, but because I'm working on something else, I like Emily to do the hard work for me. I just like drag and dropping things. So let's see if you can change the light bulb slightly. I want to have maybe an outer glow on it or something like that, so to have the glow on it. So all you will have to do, if you go back there, yeah, if you double click on the icon, and I show this also because you don't see her screen. I actually show it on my screen, and then you can just replicate that. Double clicking on an icon or any element within the CC library will open up, and you will be able to, let's just ignore that. You will be able to make changes to it. I don't know why it's not showing up here. Let me just try it again. Maybe it's because it was you who started. No, that's fine. Let's not make changes here. All you need to do is just select the icon. and then go up to Effect, or maybe even easier. Let's just go back and add another icon. If you go back to the previous one, it will be a little bit easier. If you do the arrow, there was another one here. I think it's, if you go back, yeah, if you double click on it, it should, or just go and say File Open in Illustrator. Yeah, cool. It should show up. All I'm trying to show, which is another important thing, is that if she makes any changes to any of these icons, we can actually try it with one of my elements as well. If she makes a change to it, that also updates in my Creative Cloud library. So because again it's linked, it's not just simply adding and removing items, but also anything that she changes will update and rolls out into my designs. Is it not opening? Just try one of the AI files. Yeah, like that one. Cool. So if you just select all and drop it in there, we should get another illustration from Emily. So this is again about security. We will get a shield icon. And then while we are doing that, if you double click on that, just select all. So we have the shield here. Let me show you guys. We have the shield, and this is another element that we got from Emily. And this is going to maybe be the element here somewhere on the page that we will show as a feature. But I need to change the colors of this. And then if we just go into the recolor artwork, yeah, and then maybe just choose brights or grays. Let's just set it to black and white. Let's click OK, and then save it. So what happened is that she made changes to the source of that element that we have here in the graphics. And currently we still see the original colors, but see, it updated. So even the changes that she does later to those elements that she added will also show up in my work. And then all I have to do is to make sure that I want to use the updated version, I have to update the actual file. Just like a link, when you have an update on a link on your local computer, a file coming from the cloud can also be the same way updated. So these are not links, they are coming from the cloud, but behaving very similarly to a linked image in InDesign. So did that make sense? Yeah? So sorry about the delay in the feature. It's always, as I said, it's a little bit tricky to show these things. But now that we have these elements, let's say we need also something else. We want to replace this building here on the top maybe with another cooler house icon. I think the icon complex, if we can add that, the next one, if you just open that one up, instead of drag and drop, if you double click on it, see? And then, yeah, that's actually the same thing. Yeah, you can just drag and drop it in there, cool. So because this is just a preview image, the one that I have here, we will also get from Emily the vector version of that. So I'm going to replace this. If you have an element already in a design, you can also drag and drop from your Creative Cloud, and like normally, you can replace items in it. So now this is a vector version of the same thing. So we updated that one. But there's, of course, another very important part of a Creative Cloud library, and that's that you can use stock illustrations or photos. If you remember, I showed this page here, and we are at that point where we are preparing and collecting assets. So instead of just creating things, we can also add things from Adobe Stock. Now, Adobe Stock is something that you have to pay extra. It's not directly part of the Creative Cloud subscription, but it is a very cool thing that is fully integrated into the Adobe ecosystem. So if I go into, let's say, this one, I think I have some stocks. These here, what you can see, like this one, is actually an Adobe Stock image you can see, and it's already licensed. But I can show you if I want to search for new items, I can go into here within my Creative Cloud Libraries panel, and I can say I would like to find a living room illustration. So that's what we need in the background. And then it starts to come up. Now, actually, the illustration, I don't think we need to type in. What we can do is to filter these options. So we can see that we have filtering options here on the top. Instead of looking for photos, if I'm interested in illustrations, I can do that. But if I want to be more specific, I can say only vectors. And then what happens when I use one of these? There's the one that I licensed, by the way, and it says that it's already licensed, so I bought that element or design. But if I want to use any of the ones that I haven't licensed yet, then I can, of course, still do that. So let me just go back to our design, and I'm just going to drag and drop it in here. So, oh, did I just lose that? Let's do it again. Living room. Actually, there's one here that I can use. So I drag and drop that in. And even though I haven't purchased this yet, I can still use it in my design, and until I'm 100% sure that I will need this, I can just keep it as is with the watermark on it. It's very subtle as well, that watermark, luckily, so it's actually good to show something to a client, and then when it's confirmed that we need that element or when we need that illustration, only then you will need to buy it and license it on Adobe Stock. I will come back to Stock a bit, because if you are not using Stock to buy and license images, you can still use Stock to make money. And there's actually a very nice streamlined way of not just downloading things, but uploading your own work. And I know several designers who actually specialized in selling stock illustrations or photographs, and now Adobe Stock became one of the biggest players in that field. So some of my friends actually now focused 100% on producing either illustration or photographs and uploading their work on Adobe Stock, and then you can make really good profit from it. I will show you exactly how that works. So we will get to that point, and you probably saw it here in my slide, that Adobe Stock shows up at the end as well in the publishing part. So if a project is not under NDA and you are not doing it for like within a very strict environment for a client, but it's more like a provocation piece, or it's something that you are doing as a demonstration, then you can probably sell that work on Adobe Stock if you have the full license, I mean the rights to sell it. So I'm going to come back to that as well. But we are still at this stage, the collection stage, where we are collecting things from our devices and our collaborators, and we are working on a project here, and that is the creation part. Now, what we are going to get to soon is the refinement part, where we will be also talking to the client. And that might sound like a boring step, but it is extremely important, because the way you can impress clients is to have a very streamlined workflow in which you show the work that you've done. They can give you feedback on a nice website, which is created by Creative Cloud, where they can comment specifically on what they want to change. And not only that, but you will be able to keep track of all the updates. So all the stages of the process, Creative Cloud will save for you, and you will be able to go back even to previous versions automatically. So it keeps track of all the updates, and it allows you to open original states. So you could go back even to the very first stage if it's necessary. So it's not only a communicating with a client, but also a way of archiving and backing up all the stages. So again, like Creative Cloud Libraries, I see that whenever I meet designers, that they know of this feature, the files option within the Creative Cloud account. And they know of it, and they know that it's similar to like Dropbox, where you can upload your files in the cloud, and then you can access them from anywhere. And you have, I think, by default, 20 gigabytes of storage. They know of it, but they hardly use it. Or they never used it before. I'm just wondering, how many of you are on Creative Cloud? Almost everyone, that's great. How many of you actually use CC files? Some of you, okay, not many. So that's the thing. Whoever is using it already, great job on that. And maybe you don't use everything from it, so I'm going to show you how I use it for my projects. But if you haven't started using it, I highly recommend to start using it. But before we get to that, let me just show you one last thing. Here in the Creative Cloud app, we can also see under the assets, fonts and the market. Now, market is another really cool part, which again, not many people check out and look into properly. Market is similar to Adobe Stock, but it's completely free as long as you are a Creative Cloud subscriber. You have access to lots of content that was created by other artists, and they are mock-ups and templates and all kinds of things, brushes as well, which you can download and you can use it freely in even commercial projects. So let's say we need something for this project, maybe, I don't know, like a background, but we can scroll down, I can show you several things here. Maybe that background is quite nice. Let's say I want to use it. All I have to do is to download it. So here I can see who's the author, and I can decide which library I want it to be added to. So if I want to add it to my Sweet Home project, I can just choose that. Was that the one that we did together? Is the name, if you just double check in Illustrator? Yes, Sweet Home project. So let's just sync it into that. So now not only me and Emily are working on this library, but we started to involve other creators who we haven't even met, but we are all part of this big family, the Creative Cloud. So let's see how that turned out. Once I come back and I select my Sweet Home project, there you go, there's our cool pattern that I just stole from someone. So let's see if I add this in here. So I don't know where I can use this. I start to run out of space, but maybe I just create another page, okay? And I'm just going to drag and drop this in here. So if I add this pattern in the background, I can then later on use this for my next page in this leaflet. And the cool thing about this is that it's completely vectorized as well. So I can still see who it is coming from. So if I double click on this, I can access the original file as well, and I can make changes to it. No, it's actually a JPEG, so it's good I checked it in case I need to worry about resolution. If it's a print project, it's good to check what assets you are using. So I can see that the original file is a JPEG, but most of the times you would find vector files as well here in the marketplace. So there's, for example, an icon set. Let's just test that out. We might need more icons, so there's never a bad thing about downloading more things than what we need. So let's just check this out as well. You can see when something is syncing, this is how it shows me that something I'm currently downloading. And by the way, here I can already see that this is an SVG, so it's a vector icon set. So if I double click on it, we quickly switch to Illustrator, and we can see that it's a really nice one actually. It has quite a lot of character, these icons. So if I need to use anything from this, let's say this new one, I can just grab it. We need to double click, and then that one, if I just copy, go back to InDesign again, and paste in here. Now we have elements from two different designers, and this one is definitely vector, so I can make it as big as I want it to. So you can see how quickly we can start to collect a lot of different things, either from within our team or even expand it to anyone else on the Creative Cloud. And the cool thing is that Adobe actually did the best thing in 2014 when they decided to buy Behance. How many of you guys are on Behance? Cool. So this is probably one of the biggest portfolio sites, and it was already massive and great before Adobe bought them. But now that it's part of the Adobe Creative Cloud family, it's again not very closely integrated. Now let me show you why I'm talking about it. So apart from just finding random stuff on the market, which by the way we could of course search in, so it's not just like just randomly seeing things there. Of course we can, just like in Adobe Stock, we could look for things. So if I'm looking for, I don't know, a cat, actually Mark asked me to look for sheep, so let's just look for sheep. So if we do that, there you go. Mark, are you happy now? much happier. Cool. So you can see that you can find loads of stuff, and these are vector files as well. So if I hover over it, it will tell me what it is. Let's see, this one should be, no, it's not showing now, maybe because I'm zoomed in, but doesn't matter. I can use these in my library, and then I can use it in any of the work after that. But if I want to work or collaborate with someone specific, through Behance, you can get in touch with people, and you can actually invite them to work again, just like I invited Emily to work with me. I can find people on Behance, and I can start collaborating with them through a library or multiple libraries. And I actually did this on multiple occasions, and I found some amazing artists, and it's incredible how easy it is to connect to people from around the world. I have, let me just show you this. So if I go to Behance, that's actually here another tab called Community. You can see that we have the profile that I can go to, but I can also see an activity. So these are things that I liked or I appreciated, or people maybe I'm following appreciated, but I can also go to my work, and I can see what people liked from the recent work that I've done. So I can see how many people seen them and how many people appreciated, and then I can also look for work just in general here directly in Creative Cloud. But if I go to View Profile, I can quickly jump into my actual Behance profile, and I can show you a little bit more. So if you are a creative, and if you're not on Behance yet, that's your #1 priority after you leave, or even now, you can already set up your Behance portfolio. I actually got at least 3 big projects through Behance, and I got once a full-time employment through Behance. They found me on Behance. I was in London, I was working somewhere else, and then I actually ended up working with them for a year and a half, an agency. They got in touch with me through Behance. So it's a great place to be, to have that exposure and people finding you through your work. So if you don't have it yet, it's completely free, by the way. Even if you don't have Creative Cloud, you can have your Behance portfolio. But what I wanted to show you is that if I want to look for people that I want to work with, I can just go to Discover, and I can see recent work published by other artists. And if I find someone here that I really like, I can get in touch with them. But let me show you someone that I really like. If I go back to my Behance profile, I can show you collections that I have. Actually, Appreciated probably will be a nice one. So she is actually someone I know, and I met through Behance. Almu Redondo, let me just show her portfolio. See, she worked with me, we collaborated on these characters. She's a concept artist, and she's just amazing, the work she does. And then I got in touch with her on Behance and told her that I need to do this project, would you like to collaborate with me? And the cool thing is that you can see on Behance, it actually says multiple owners. There's my name and there's her name. The way it works is that if I upload my project and I know that we work together on it, I can just say that she worked with me, and immediately it shows up in her portfolio as well. And then anything that I update on it will also update in her portfolio. So it's, again, just seamlessly integrates everything together and keeps creatives really linked together. So it's like joining really forces and working together, and whatever I do will also help her in her work and vice versa. So if I want to get in touch with anyone, obviously I know her, but it would be the same with any random people on Behance that I find. There will be, as long as they allow, but 90% of the people would allow this, to send a message. And that's like direct messaging someone. It's like emailing someone, right? So I could just get in touch and say, oh, hey, Almu, I love your work. Would you like to work on this project with me? And you would be like surprised how responsive most creatives are. You have the same experience, right?
Yeah, I mean, my Behance portfolio needs a little bit of tender love and care, I think. But actually, I think a really good application for this is during university. So even if you're collaborating with people across courses, like you can make sure that you will get credit for it, and that anyone that's potentially, instead of when you have a physical portfolio that you take to an interview, if you have a Behance portfolio, they can see how much part you've taken in that project, which can be really important to an employer. So.
Yeah, definitely. So it's very important to spend time on this, and really, to be honest, you can see how many messages I always contacting people, and if I go abroad, and I know some people that I've been following their work, they are based in that city where I'm going to. Before I even travel there, that's one of the first things that I do. I check, are you available by any chance? Because I'm coming to your town. We could meet up for a coffee and just talk about work. And I do that everywhere I go, and it's an amazing way to meet people. And it's like not a weird thing, because they can see your work. It's not like randomly,
creepy.
yeah, and it's not creepy, because everyone I contacted was happy, and as long as they were free, they met me. And I met so many amazing artists through that. Like, I was in Hungary recently, so I have some Hungarian messages here. I'm from Hungary as well, but I haven't been there for a while. And because I went back, I contacted some people. I met up with some amazing artists, and through them, I already got a couple of projects I can work on. So although things are really online and everything you do online, it's very important to use the tools that are online to meet people in person, because there's obviously, it's never going to be better than meeting someone in person and then really talk to those people you admire or you want to work with. So I highly recommend to use Behance. And as I said, look at this, jobs. Now, once again, there's loads of jobs here for US, but you don't have to worry about that, because a lot of projects don't need you to be in the US, so you can be anywhere. There's loads of like project-based jobs here, where you can just say, okay, you will be working from London on a project in US. It happened with me. I worked with someone from Switzerland recently. I'm working on a project on Berlin, and all these started from Behance. Okay, so it's a brilliant place to start off looking for jobs, or even if you are an employer, to look for creatives through Behance is a great one. You can post jobs as well here. All right. So, by the way, if you have a Creative Cloud account, which most of you have, so I just want to show you this as well very quickly. If you haven't done this already, make sure you set up an Adobe portfolio as well, which can be on your own domain. If you have a domain that you can use, like I have Piciniak.com, which I actually already opened here, so I just go to that one. You can link your domain, your private domain, to your Behance account, and then it's going to create this version of your Behance account, which can serve as an even more like clean and nice branded version of your Behance portfolio. So you can see here it's just the work itself, and then it's under my domain. So that's again something, if you are a Creative Cloud subscriber, you will have this option, the My Portfolio option. That's also very important. So make sure you make use of that. If I come back here, I can show you that was also part of this process. That's the My Portfolio. There's no extra work you have to do with that. It's just simply linking your Behance to that domain that you have, and it presents the work that you upload on Behance even in a neater way. And of course, you can tick or untick projects. So if you have more things on Behance, if you want to refine it a bit more, what's showing up on the My Portfolio version, you can easily untick a couple of projects. They stay on Behance, but they won't showing up on your My Portfolio version. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay, now let's have a look at the client feedback. So the Creative Cloud files I'm coming back to, which I briefly talked about. So what I'm going to do is to save this, what I've done here, into my Creative Cloud file or folders. So I go to File, Save As, and I go into Creative Cloud Files. You see here I have that, and then I'm going to save it within the Sweet Home project. So I already have a folder for it. I save it in there. I'm going to call this one Leaflet. So let's save. This is an InDesign file. So the INDD file now is going to be synced. Here on the top in the on the option bar, I could see the little syncing icon, and now it's synced. So it's uploaded already. Now, if I want to see this file, I can go to my Creative Cloud app, and from the assets, I just go to Files, and I can go to View on Web. So if I do that, I will get the browser version of my Creative Cloud files, and within that, I will be able to find all those folders that I created, including the Sweet Home project. So let's just go into that. And you see I have a couple of things here already, but there's my InDesign file. Now, the first cool thing about this, if I click on that, this would be the same case for a client who I send this to have a look at. They would be able to preview any Adobe files, including Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, so they don't have to have the Creative Cloud applications. You just send them a link, and this beautiful clean version of the work will come up, and they will be able to go through the pages within the InDesign file. Okay, so some of you might have tried the Publish Online feature, which is great, but that's more for like a user or a customer. This is more of a relation or like a feedback from a client. So this is obviously not a public project. So only those will see it, whoever gets the link. Currently, only I can see it, but let's see if I send this link to my client. So, by the way, just as a side note, you can see here it still says private, so only I have access to it. And it's quite cool that I can see what tools were used for this, and like my client will see it as well, that I used InDesign, and I used these fonts. It lists all the fonts, out of which 2 were non-typekit fonts, and these are typekit fonts, and this is the color theme, which again, the client will be able to click on and even suggest changes to the color theme if they want to. But let me not go that much ahead. So if I want to share this, all I have to do here on the top right to say send link or share to Slack. I'm actually going to use Slack, but I'm just going to use send link just to make it faster. Create public link, and then I'm going to copy it. Now, although it became public, it doesn't mean that if anyone, random people on the web will be able to access it, just those people who gets the link. So I'm just going to switch to Slack, and I'm going to share it with my client. There you go, I've sent it. And then, is it going to be Jessica, your alter ego? Yes. So Jessica, our client, is going to reply to this. So we are waiting for the client feedback here on the browser. And all I need to do is to switch to activity. So you saw the details panel. Now I'm on the activity panel, and I can see that the current version was created today, and that's the size of the current version. Now there's no comments right now, but as long as you start sharing it with anyone involved in this project, and they start sending you comments, all the comments will show up here on the right side. So I will be able to keep track exactly who said what and when, and based on that I can make my changes. So let's see what Jessica is coming back with to us with. So there you go. There are far too many triangles on page 2. That's very true. So okay, so if I want to get back to my client, I will then go back to InDesign, and I go to the second page, and let's just remove these triangles, and let me just simplify it a bit, the page. So now if I save this, this is the interesting bit. I'm going to save it. So I didn't do anything, just press Command S or Control S. Let's see what happens. First of all, notice how the linking was done. That was it. We didn't even have to wait longer than that. Now let's see what happens here in the second page. So we are still seeing the original one, but now it updated. So we removed our triangles, and we can see that we revised 4 minutes. This is the current version, and the original one was the one that we've done 4 minutes ago. So now let's see what the client has to say about this. We will wait for another feedback. But in the meantime, if I want to see how the original version was created, I could select that, and the cool thing is that it's stored and accessible even in the browser version, not just for me, but for the client as well. So they don't need to keep files on their computer. You don't have to worry about emailing them. Everything is done through this one centralized place on the browser where you can keep track of all the versions, all the feedback, and you can get to the final version that can be then approved by the client. So I can switch between the versions, the clients can switch between the versions, and we can keep advancing and improving the design. Yeah, that's basically it. So let's see what the client will reply to us. So we have Jessica coming back. Perfect. So very minimalist, yes. Well done. Cool. So we are happy with this. Now, if I want to then share this work, let's say we agreed with the client that this can be shared online. How will I share this on Behance? And this is the last bit of the presentation. So just to come back to InDesign, we can see that we have here the whole workflow. And we can see that at the end, within publishing, I have Behance, my portfolio, and stock. Actually, I want to show and Spark as well, just very quickly. So the sharing on Behance is extremely easy. All I have to do is to go to the file option. Actually, it's probably better if I do it on Behance itself because I already have it open here. So if I want to upload any work here, all I have to do is to create a new project up here. I'm not going to go through this because it's child's play really how to do this. It loads a project editor and then everything is drag and drop. So it's literally the easiest thing you can imagine. If I want to upload files, I can select that. And actually, notice that we have Creative Cloud option here, which is the best thing because then it accesses those CC files, which we refine with the client. So I can go into those files, and that's the InDesign file that we had. So I can actually directly access those within Behance, and then it uploads it straight in here. So it's just amazing how everything is coming together once you start utilizing Creative Cloud. And then all I would have to do is to refine it, put some text in, and then continue and publish it, and it will show up straight on my portfolio, and then it will go into my portfolio with my domain as well. So I don't even go into detail on that. Let me show instead something else. So let's say this was a free work. We were not paid for this, but the client because of that, the client allowed us to use this and maybe sell it as a stock element as well, or it was a provocation piece, so we can do that. So if I want to do that, all I have to do is to find that file. So I'm just going to go into the Creative Cloud folder and go into Sweet Home Project. Just go to that, Sweet Home Project on the computer, there we go. And there I have my InDesign file. Or it could be one of these images, maybe this one. Let's say that's the characters that we designed with Almu. So if I want to sell this on Adobe Stock, I could go to Publish. By the way, I'm in Bridge now. How many of you used Bridge, Adobe Bridge? Cool. It's again something that is part of the Creative Cloud. It's a file management application. I highly recommend to try it if you haven't tried it already. The reason I like it, amongst many other reasons, is that you can directly upload files onto your stock, Adobe Stock profile. So you can see here, there is a Publish panel, and it just says sell your images on Adobe Stock. So if I say Setup, all I have to do is to just link it to my account. On this laptop, I haven't done it yet because I use it with my other computer. But this is actually something that I have a couple of accounts on Adobe. This is one of the accounts that I created where I have a few of my photographs. And the reason I wanted to show this to you is because here I can actually see that I uploaded these a week ago and I already made £2. How cool is that? Yeah. So I think there was one sale on this and 2 sales on that. So that was the most popular one so far. Let's see if we can see a bit bigger one of that. Is it not showing it bigger? Should be showing a bigger image. But you can imagine it's the nice landscape in Austria, I think, that I took. But that's essentially how it works. So you will see all the things that you sell, whether it's a vector illustration, whether it's a photograph, or even footage. And you would be surprised how many successful creators are on Adobe Stock who actually just take capturing footage with their iPhone. You can actually sell it and make money from that if you are creative enough. So the mobile phones, the cameras on these are like 4K recording now, so you have like an amazing quality, especially, I don't know, the latest phones. If you use them, you can capture amazing quality videos as well, not just photos but videos, and you can start selling them on the stock website. So I highly recommend that as well. And then one last thing before I finish the presentation. How many of you guys tried Spark, Adobe Spark? Some of you, cool. Spark is not like the biggest thing, but it's still worth checking out. It's actually a free thing, so even if you don't have Creative Cloud, you can use it. And what it does is that you can put together a landing page or just a post or a video without using any editing applications. Simply, again, a drag and drop quick and easy interface. If you think of Wix, it's quite similar to that. So I'm just going to show you an example that, again, we did for this project that I'm showing you right now, the Sweet Home project. So this was done within Spark. It's all online, and it's a fully responsive website, which has even parallax effects. You can see that certain things are moving with different speed. That's we call parallax effect, plus they are showing up when I'm scrolling down. So it's a really nice, clean website, which has videos in it and so on and so forth. And I just show you how nicely they've done the responsiveness as well. So if I change the actual browser, see that the text is changing and realigning it, and it's not completely showing here. I don't know why it should go even further down than that, but you can see it nicely realigned everything to a more like mobile phone size. So the way you create a Spark page is, again, extremely easy. I won't even go into detail on that. All you have to do is to say you want to start a new project, and you can decide whether it's a page, a video, or a post. Post is for like social media like Facebook and Twitter, and then let's say you go into page, and similarly to the Behance project creator, here you just start typing things like, let's say I want to add a photo. Once again, we see our Creative Cloud files. So if you haven't started using CC files, make sure you do, because everything is connected to it. And you could even find Adobe Stock here. If it's your own image on Stock, then obviously that will be free to use. But if I just select one of the images that we created in this project, I can select that, and it automatically puts it in the background. And it even like dims it out a bit, so the text will be nicely legible on top of it. And then further on, you could add video and so on and so forth. So it's extremely fast and easy. Why would you do this? Again, it's a great way to get your work out there. So if you want to have, besides a Behance project, something that you can share with people, which tells more of a story, let's say the creation of the project, which of course you can do in Behance as well, but this is probably an even nicer website that's fully responsive, and it can be shared, and it looks like a separate page or website created specifically to tell that story. So that's, again, something I would recommend to do at the end, as part of the full publishing side of the project. Okay, so did I leave anything out? Do you have anything else to add to this?
No, pretty.
We have a bit of time for questions. Do you guys have any questions about anything that I showed today? I'm happy to answer any technical questions.
So
yeah.
Spark doesn't have, it's just an internal application within CC that just displays your work as a portfolio rather than a website?
It's actually going to be a public page. Again, it's a link.
But it's called Spark.
Yes, exactly. It's used more for like marketing purposes. So I've actually done pages on Spark for clients when they approach me that they need something quickly. So you won't have to worry about setting up a FTP and buying a domain. It will be hosted by Adobe, and then as long as it's needed for like a quick promotion or campaign, it's very quick to do, and then you can share it that way.
And the domain name will remain Spark?
Yes, it will be adobe.spark.something, yeah. Yeah. But what I normally do is I use Google Shortener, so it creates a short link so people don't actually see what it is, and then just send it. So if you use goo.gl, that's the best place to quickly create a short link. So if you have a long URL, just copy it in there, and it creates something similar to this. So it creates a random, like, coded link, and then no one will worry about where it comes from. And sharing it like this is better anyway. And the cool thing is, by the way, if you use Google Shortener, you can see how many click-throughs you have. So whenever you come back to it, you can track how many times people clicked on it. So it's a traceable, trackable link as well. Any other questions? Yes?
The client collaboration part, does the client have to have the Creative Cloud account?
No, that's the best thing. They don't need to have the account. So they don't need to have any applications. You will send them the link. So remember when I sent the link through Slack. So if I come back to my browser, let's show this quickly again. So if I come back to here, when I clicked on Share Send Link, all you do is just to simply send that link. And what they will see is exactly what you see here. So they will be able to add comments. One thing that they might need, but I think they changed that as well recently, that they can log in as guest and then they won't have a name there. Or maybe they can even add the name, but it's just going to be a completely, I think, just associated with their email. But they might need to create an Adobe ID, but that's completely free. So they don't have to have the Creative Cloud, just simply an Adobe ID. But I'm not 100% sure, maybe they don't even need that. So it's a very easy thing for a client, from a client point of view. I've used this with clients like Disney, and they actually haven't seen it by any other designers, and they were like, wow, this is really cool. We will tell other designers as well to use it. So if you start doing this, it's still, I mean, Adobe is improving this a lot. But if you start using it now as a creative, this is really a way to impress clients. You could see how quickly we could go back between stages, seeing the comments, and everything is just nicely connected together. And you can see this was a live demonstration, me just juggling around with things and Emily helping out. But when you are actually working, you have time and no cameras and things like that is going on. It's really a much more relaxed way of working. It saves so much time. I can't tell you how much time this saves. I've worked probably 5 times as more efficiently since these things came out and now really nicely work together. Yeah?
On that, is there any way of doing markups similar to Acrobat?
What you can do is, there is a pinned comment option, but unfortunately not here, but they are working on that. If you join me for my next session, which will be the last one, I think, in Screen 2, I'm doing an app prototype, putting together an app prototype in Adobe XD. I will show you there, they already have that feature, and I've seen they will bring it in here as well. So it's like pinned comments where you can just say, this thing needs to be changed. And then it keeps track of with numbered bubbles.
We do a lot of work with Acrobat, sending emails.
And that's very similar. So they are going to bring that in here as well, because that was a request from a lot of people. Cool. So are there any other questions? We have a bit more time, so feel free to ask anything. Let me just reach back to the page where I can show you the features we went through. Any other questions? Yes?
So the assets, the files, CC files, would you say it's a good practice to use that within a design team in order to edit our design work rather than using something more, I don't know,
Like Dropbox?
No, something that we have like an internal.
Yeah. I would recommend to use it, but it's probably best to test it on not a real, like, important project first to get used to it, because it might be different to the way you have everything set up. So just test it on something like a demonstration or...
Sorry, to disturb your planner.
Yeah.
Can it work with multiple designers at the same time on the same files?
Yes. Once you have a Creative Cloud account, those files will be accessible by anyone else you invite to be able to access. So it's, again, similar to like Dropbox or any, what else? Dropbox, what similar ones? Yeah, Google Drive. So similar to these cloud-based file storages.
But what's attractive about it is that you can edit it in the same time.
Yes.
You can't do the other applications.
Yes. So it's best to test it out. I use it very often, and I work with the most people I work together with on the same files and libraries was probably around 15 people. and it was perfectly fine. We haven't had any issues. And it was just amazing. Like I was working, like similar to what we tried to demonstrate here, I was working, and because so many people worked on it from different places in the world, I just saw things coming up like, oh, that's done as well. And then I was just going on Slack telling people that we need to change this, and it updated on the fly in the projects. It's just really cool to see it actually working. So highly recommend it if you haven't tried it, even just for the experience. Cool. Any other questions from anyone else? Yes? I think the way it works, if you already have a Creative Cloud account, it's cheaper than to just have it separately. You can try it out for 10 images for free, or 10 assets that you download for free in the beginning. That's like your trial period. And after the 10, it will go into a monthly subscription, and you will have a certain amount of credits based on your subscription. So you can have smaller or bigger credit per month. And then when you run out of credits, you will have to wait for the next month. Or if you don't use credits, they will be rolling to your next month. So if you don't use it for a couple of months, you will have loads of credits to use later on. So it's quite similar to other stock websites as well, the way it works, but it's connected to your Creative Cloud subscription, or handled in the same way altogether. Cool. So I think I will stop now because we will have to need some time for setting up the next presentation. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you. And enjoy the rest of the day.